Welcome to the virtual lunch. Today is Friday, July 9th, and this is virtual lunch number 344. Our guest today is Neil Etheridge, the COO at LitLingo. Hi, Neil. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Good to see you.
This is obviously part of our series on optimizing communication. Thanks, of course, to LitLingo, and would love to hear about your background and your role at the company.
So I've been in software and legal technology for 20 years. Those of you who may have similar career lengths, I started way back when in the late 90s with a company called PC Docs that actually, I remember good old before iManage, helped you file save into a document management system. From there, I joined iManage. From there, I helped grow a company called Recomind. February 1 of this year, I joined LitLingo to help grow this company. So lots of exciting things over the years. I have been solidly in legal tech for 20 of those years. Part of my career has been finding companies that make the better mousetrap. And then there's companies like LitLingo where it's just technology that had never existed before. And so creating whole new categories of technology within our little ecosystem. And it's interesting, if you look at any other space, manufacturing, whatever it might be, they have all gone through a material technology revolution. Legal is in its prime now for that same thing to be happening. And more you're seeing automation, innovation in every possible space. The perception of legal is changing, where it was thought of as legal tech means we sell things to law firms. And legal tech is a vertical. A much better way to think about it is legal is a business function and it is a horizontal. Every corporation in every country, if they're of a certain size, has a legal function. Just like people buy marketing technology or you buy sales technology or service technology. It's just everyone's waking up that legal tech is an equal comparison to those other areas, if you like. I've been fortunate that every one of those businesses, as customers were adopting their technology, everyone in that business could say, if you use this, things will be better than they were. That you will be making a material step forward to address whatever that problem is. And so I don't think any of those companies is a sideward step. It is material progression forward every time. And I've been proud to be part of companies that enable that every time. For many years, myself and some colleagues have had the view that lawyers get a bad rep when it comes to being technology adverse. I don't think that's the case at all. If you look at what brought iPhones into law firms, it wasn't IT. IT was like, we have BlackBerries, this is the standard. And partners walked in and said, I have this thing, it's cool, make it work. Teslas appeared in the parking lot of law firms pretty early on. So it's more just, there's an expectation of things to work the way that we want them to. The tolerance of less good things or things that were not designed for my use case, but instead were somehow sidewards pushed into legal. I think that's what may have caused that perception. I think it's wrong. And so I personally, and the businesses I've been part of, have tried to design software where legal practitioners are the primary user. Not an afterthought, not we built this thing that works in this market. Shall we try it in legal? Instead, making it purpose built. And I think that creates a whole different user experience for lawyers and other legal professionals. What is happening is big companies making some big steps in the legal technology space, and their success will help drive even more innovation in this space. It will be interesting to see, as the number of businesses gets bigger and bigger, who will truly innovate and survive, who will not. That's always a fun thing to watch. We can all think of times when whoever else, IT or someone else, pushes software on us and we're like, if I was designing this, this would be the last thing that I would build. And why am I now being pseudo forced to use it? One of the cool things as we look at what the cloud has enabled is giving end users much more of a voice. Think about what works out whether you're going to use app A or app B on your smartphone is which you like better. Because we're empowered to say, I don't like that app. I'm going to look in the app store. I'll find something that does it more the way I want. Even corporate software is moving more in that direction, where it's not a huge implementation on site. You can literally sign up, swipe a credit card, and try things out. That will just naturally mean that better products will survive or strive. By more actual consumers of legal technology have their voice being heard, the less organizations will settle for exactly what you described, Ari, which is the idea I've heard people say, oh, it's a great product if you really know how to use it. I would say, well, by definition, it's not a great product. It's a pretty good product, but a great product, you would know how to use it. I didn't sit through a 1-week training course on my iPhone. Great technology designed the right way. It's intuitive from day one. The more that people have that voice, instead of this was procured for me and pushed out, they get their voice in the quality of a product. The best product would be both. It would be the best technology, but it also is the best solution you want. I can think back to early days in document management where the design was bad. And when the design is bad, people will invest more time to find a way around the bad product, which is counterintuitive, but it happens all the time. You're like, I'm not using this thing. If I click 27 more buttons, I can stop using it. Versus something that's well designed is almost invisible and it's seen as additive to what you're doing. A lot of the time, people don't put the focus and effort into design that they should. And it's also too easy to think design is how something looks, but design is how something works. That quote is not mine. I'll give that back to Steve Jobs, who said it. It is truer than ever. It's all about growth, and growth, not just by adding more and more customers, but seeing growth within those customers. Because the biggest voice is, are people using this more and more? And whether that has revenue implications or not, are they buying more? Maybe, maybe not, but is actually usage going up and up and up? That's a great indicator. And so if you see we're adding more and more clients and all of those clients are continuing to grow, that to me is a great indicator for success. In addition to that, you can look to the markets. Are people investing in that company? Is that company on the public markets? Are their shares going up? The bottom of it, I would say it's about growth within your customers. I would argue that technology today is easier than it has ever been. And so being digital native was useful if you just know how to use it. It's really great and powerful. And if you just read the manual and you understand. But today, I think it's easier than ever. I used this example a couple of years ago. I've seen my kids play around with Snapchat filters or Instagram filters. And you're just sitting there, you press one button on screen and suddenly I've got rabbit ears. I did that by pressing one button. And I actually just initiated visual machine learning. We've got face tracking, all this crazy advanced technology going on. But for me, I press one button. Compare that to predictive coding and e-discovery from 5 years ago. Switch that use case into Snapchat, and you'd have to say, well, what you need to do is take a picture of yourself, then take another 500 pictures, then let it run overnight. And then the next day, take another 500 pictures, and then do some crazy stuff. 2 weeks later, you'll get bunny ears. No one would have adopted it. And so there's just this element, if you truly focus on design and make it easy, I don't think generation or digital native plays into it at all. In essence, what we do is we take language in, but we very quickly turn language into ideas. There is the word to fire, but really that can represent the idea of termination and let go. And there's many, many other words that you can use. So once we turn things into ideas, the question is, what ideas is this person communicating about? And then you use the other words in the sentences to understand how those ideas tie to other things. If the author is talking about the idea of termination and talking about the idea of that operating on contractors, as an example. Two ideas are expressed, they're connected to each other through me, but none of the words underneath actually matter. And so what that allows us to do is get a very granular understanding of what people are saying without having to do keyword matching. A great example that we talk about a lot is if I didn't want people to say, I want to corner the market, it would be hard to flag corner and market as bad keywords. In LitLingo, if someone said, I want to go to the corner market, perfectly fine. We would not see that as a potentially negative sentence. And that's one of the easiest ways to express why we think our approach is far superior. Just because if you're trying to give end users real-time assistance in their communication, you don't want to be wrong. Because if you're wrong, it's very frustrating. Could you imagine if spell check was incorrectly correcting you? You'd be quite annoyed.
Neil Etheridge, everybody. I wanted to thank LitLingo, of course, for supporting these conversations. This has been fun, so I appreciate it.